And the most disturbing realization is that the woke military-industrial complex, if our military has gone woke, all right, this is the most disturbing thing of them all. If our military has gone woke, how can it protect us? How can it be effective if our military has gone woke? If the woke industrial complex is a thing, how can they be effective? And will they be used against us? Could they be used against us? It creates so many questions and even more terrifying scenarios. And if you don't believe a government would turn on its people, just take a look at Australia. Or why don't you ask Joe Biden about the Americans he left behind in Afghanistan? I agree wholeheartedly with the caption on this next article from AmericanMind.org. It says, America's woke generals and the military-industrial complex must be purged to save the nation. This is Deep State, Deep Trouble by Josiah Lippincott. Revelations from a new book, Peril, by Bob Woodward and Rob Costa reveal just how deep the spiritual rot in the military goes. In the days after the January 6th protest, General Mark Milley, seen right here with his 10,000 rows of ribbons to show how big his e-peen is, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, promised, in the event of a war, to give aid and comfort to China, our adversary, China. According to the Washington Post, after the Capitol protest, Milley sent secret communications to the head of the People's Liberation Army promising that if we were going to attack, I'm going to call you ahead of time, and it's not going to be a surprise. In a decent country, such a brazen act of collusion with a foreign power by one of the most prominent leaders of the armed forces would be met with immediate and unrelenting backlash. Instead, this betrayer of the Constitution and the principle of civilian leadership of the military is a liberal darling. At the inauguration, Joe Biden thanked Milley for undermining President Trump in the final weeks of his presidency. Milley, before reaching out to China, sat down with the service's top officers and demanded from them what amounted to an oath. None of them would launch a nuclear weapon without his direct approval. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff went behind the president's back to secure control over the nation's most important weapons. That sounds like a coup to me. I don't know about you, but that sounds like an actual coup to me. Our generals are losers abroad, and that's proven by the France article I read to you at the beginning of this episode, and grifters at home, proof given by the articles about wokeness I've been reading to you, about the guy on the cover of Playboy, about the article in Teen Vogue trashing this country and telling our children to become grifters. Let's get back to reading. They parrot MSNBC talking points on Twitter, and grovel before Fauci. This is bad enough, but Milley's actions show that America's top military officers have reached another level of delusion. They fancy themselves a new Praetorian Guard to protect the nation, as construed by elite editorial boards from the people's elected representatives. This deep state is in control. It is clear that no populist elected leader can trust America's security establishment. As Chuck Schumer warned President Trump on Rachel Maddow's show in 2017, the intelligence community has 6 ways from Sunday of getting back at you. The military establishment is gloating now and flexing its muscle. After the election, outgoing Syria envoy Jim Jeffrey admitted that the Pentagon and State Department has consistently lied to Trump about troop levels in Syria. Before he left office, Trump's order to have troops out of Afghanistan by January 15th was overruled by the establishment. Trump, far from trying to start a war on his way out of office, sought to actually end one. White House spokesperson Jen Psaki claims that Milley was following constitutional orders to prevent unlawful military actions. According to her, Trump was implementing an insurrection. That's the actual big lie. The claim that Trump wished to start a war to distract from the election upon which Milley based his collusion with the Chinese government was an utter lie. Nor was Trump implementing an insurrection. The FBI has dispensed with this myth, finding that there was no coordinated plot associated with the Capitol riot. There will be no hearings, no serious journalistic investigations or outcry from the establishment. Miley will go unpunished, Millie. He will retire with full honors and full pension. The Pentagon will never reform itself from the inside. The entire military-industrial complex must be dismantled if we are ever to have an armed forces consistent with the founders' Republican virtues. And I can hashtag amen to that all day. The American right must be willing to starve the Pentagon of its lifeblood. The most important asset the people have is their bodies. American mothers and fathers need to stop feeding their children into the machine. Amen. Amen. Heartland American boys and girls have better things to do and better leaders to serve under. The American people must go on strike until the generals once again learn to subordinate themselves to the people. GOP politicians must assist their constituents in this noble task. They must find real courage and demand radical institutional change. This starts with deep and abiding budget cuts, for the Pentagon and the rest of the military-industrial complex. The founders' distrust of permanent standing armies must be restored. And I believe that. I believe there should be some checks and balances. There should be something implemented that keeps the generals under control. All right? The people run the government. That's the way it's supposed to be. The world has changed. America's grand strategy must change with it. Our current conventional force cannot defeat insurgencies. The proliferation of nuclear weapons, on the other hand, means the great power conflict is virtually impossible. There's no need to keep buying weapon systems designed to fight a redo of World War II. Our bases overseas are a relic of the liberal humanitarian world order. Having 20,000 troops in Okinawa did not prevent the Chinese Communist Party from using Twitter bots to stir up hysteria over COVID. Our dozen aircraft carriers didn't stop our politicians from implementing lockdowns and vaccine passports. America's air bases in Turkey, Germany, and Diego Garcia didn't keep the Taliban from retaking control of their country. All right? That's true. They're not updated, and our government does not have the will to do the right thing, regardless of what the American people want, even though it's not supposed to work that way, even though the founders explicitly state that is the American people. It is the American people who are in charge. That's why they developed and designed our Constitution and our government the way that they did. Trust me, they did. Read the Federalist Papers sometimes. Read them. It'll enlighten you. You'll see. You'll go, oh my God, that's why the founders did this. That's why the founders did this. America was never the world's policeman. An empire in the name of democracy and freedom was always an idiotic idea. Widespread gun ownership is a much better guarantor of American liberty than any SEAL team or aircraft carrier. The Militia Act of 1792 is a much better model for national defense than our current setup. The act enrolled every able-bodied male citizen between the ages of 18 and 45 into the militia. It also demanded that each of these men provide themselves with a good musket or firelock and a sufficient bayonet. Far from trying to take away firearms, the founders demanded every American male citizen possess one. Now, I don't know how that would work today, but we should definitely be talking about all the different options we could explore. Self-sufficiency in arms is the foundation of liberty, national sovereignty, and independence. Tyrannies never arm their citizens. Republics always do. Our security as a nation should not depend on overhyped super soldiers. The silent professionals with their podcast, book deals, and TV appearances play, in the grand scheme of things, only a very minor role in protecting the life, liberty, and property of common American people. The unmitigated corruption in the leadership of the armed forces is a sign of deep cultural rot. The patriotic flag waving of the post 9/11 response has been used to great harm against the American people. I'd say that. What do you think? An unwillingness by the political class to criticize and hold accountable those charged with defending the nation has led to our current spiritual crisis. It's at least aided in it. It's at least helped get us here. America can't win overseas. Her generals sell out her leaders to foreign powers. And the retired members of this elite class do nothing but gobble up fat checks from the corporations they once purchased from. This is an untenable state of affairs. It's time to restore Republican virtue, to sweep clean our military establishment. Woo, that's a good article, folks. Again, that's Josiah Lippincott. That came from AmericanMind.org. The title of the article is Deep State, Deep Trouble. And the quote at the top was, America's woke generals and the military-industrial complex must be purged to save the nation. I believe so. I believe at least big changes should be here. There should be accountability. Somebody should put Miley in his place. Somebody should put these generals in their place. Somebody should restore the Constitution in the United States of America. It's us, you and me, folks. With a loud enough roar, we can start making these changes. But you can't be afraid to speak up. And why should we care? Why should we care? Why should we clean out the woke military-industrial complex? Is it the fact that in 9 months, Biden's mucked this country up beyond belief? Is that not enough? Is the realization that Marxist elites want to enslave our children to the system because it makes them money not enough? Is living in fear because of illegal immigrants, gang members, and meth heads roaming the streets not enough? How about not being able to afford diddly squat because of inflation? How's that been, folks? What about having your intelligence insulted while the government lies to you again and again and again about COVID and everything else? That one always breaks my camel's back.